I usually have two, but one of them collapsed. I think I just did it. Wow. I don't want to talk about it. Turns out I do want to talk about it. As you may remember, I fixed this whole situation last week. I thought I was being very responsible for getting it done so quickly. Turns out the frame was broken. Aww. That's why it fell, not because of the command strips. So I'm gonna have to pick up another frame from IKEA because this asymmetry is just bothering me so much. I feel like my bedroom is supposed to be a place of peace and I feel no peace. In the video where I was talking about being in my 20s, I showed off this book as one of the books I wanted to read while I was 27, and we have started it. It's called Outlive: The Science and Art of Longevity by Peter Attia. I'm about 100 pages into it so far, and it's so informative. It tackles the 4 horsemen, I think that's what they're categorized as or labeled as, which are heart disease, cancer, Alzheimer's, and type 2 diabetes. The 4 things that, you know, people are most likely to have that impacts their ability to live a long life. You know, at 27, I think I'm doing a fairly good job at, you know, keeping movement a part of my life, so keeping myself strong in that regard and managing my mental health and fueling my body with good things and finding that balance. But there are refinements that can be made, and I feel like for me to hit that next level, I need something to kind of like push me there. Just giving myself more information for why it's important to stick to healthy habits, to really pay attention to particularly my diet. Like, I think that's one of the areas where I know I can even be more transformative with what I'm doing. When I say diet, I don't mean like dieting. I mean like nutritionally, like how I'm fueling my body. I'm really enjoying the fact that it's just not so surface level. There's studies that are quoted, and it gets like into the technicalities of like how certain hormones and organs function and how they process nutrients, and I find it at this point in my life like something I'm really interested in. I just hit the part where he's talking about sugar and the differences between the way our bodies process sugar that's like in cookies or foods with corn syrup versus having a food with natural sugars like an apple, because like those have fiber that helps you digest those differently. So very fascinating stuff, like things that like, yes, I've known, but like we're just like getting deeper into it. Fascinating so far, and still easy to follow even though it is getting a little bit technical, which I appreciate. So on that note, I do want to make like a really scrumptious meal tonight. Actually, I should rephrase that. Do I want to do that? No, but I think it'd be good for me today to do that. So I'm going to do that. We're going to pop on some tunes and make it a nice event. Not really though in a cooking mood today, but we're gonna mentally get myself there. 2024 has officially become the year I make tofu. I don't think I've really shown any recipes with tofu yet on the channel, but I've been making it quite frequently. At least definitely in comparison to what I made before, which was never making tofu. Technically, you're supposed to press and marinate tofu. The pressing is not super necessary for this type of tofu I have because it's extra firm. So I have experimented with pressing it and just don't feel like it makes that much of a difference. Now, normally I would marinate something, but I didn't do that today, which is gonna be fine because I'm pairing this with a lot of flavors. So I feel like it's just gonna take on the flavor of the other things for the most part. I feel like when you experiment with cooking with it, you realize that it has a lot of potential. So even if you do eat meat, I recommend trying some recipes with tofu because it's really not that bad. I'm just gonna toss this all into a bowl. This is where I just attack it with things. Some coconut seasoning sauce. This is kind of like a soy sauce replacement. Ooh. Should have measured that. Garlic powder, onion powder, smoked paprika, question mark, pepper. I love balsamic vinegar, could not live without it. Let's get this on here. Wow, looky here. We're gonna do zucchini at the same time, so I'm gonna get this on one side. My one tip is just to make sure all of the tofu has room. Give it its own space, you know? Here we go. Chop it into thin slices. The other day I was asking my family, what's your favorite vegetable? And it took all of us a little bit of time to think about it because I don't think veggies are as exciting as fruits. Like someone asks your favorite fruit and you're like, oh my God, I love, for me, strawberries, or I love pineapple, I love watermelon. But vegetables can be kind of like bland. However, again, I think it's all in like how you prepare them. So you can really make them boring, or you can really have fun with dips and sauces and seasoning. That being said, my favorite way to consume zucchini is just baking it into thin slices like this and then salting and peppering them once they come out of the oven. And I find like they're delicious. I used to go crazy with the seasoning on zucchini, but I don't feel like it's one of those vegetables that needs it. Again, like the tofu, the zucchini needs its space. Not even using olive oil, to be honest. I try and avoid baking with olive oil as much as possible. Look at that fun puzzle that I've made. Delicioso. That's gonna go in the oven for about 25 minutes, 30 minutes at 425. I'm gonna keep an eye on it. The really like boom flavor punch component to this is I'm gonna make a chickpea salad. Ooh. You're intrigued. Me too. You always want to check the expiry dates of pantry items and try and use things that are going to expire first. I know that's self-explanatory, but sometimes it's easy to miss. Two great things about this recipe. One, it's no bake. So even though I am baking today, like it is nice to use recipes like this on days where you don't want to get the oven or the stove fired up. But also it's a really great meal prep friendly dish. So you can make more than you need for the meal that you're having. And then it's great as a lunch. It's great as a side for dinners. I'll leave it at 1 can and we'll see if I want to do 2. If you're wondering if I'm using a recipe, the answer is no. I was planning on adding red onion here. Turns out never bought any. So I think maybe some olives. I know meal prepping isn't everyone's cup of tea for a variety of reasons. Some people don't like the time it takes to like prep full-on meals days in advance, and even more so if you are doing it for a whole family. And then there's people that don't like the concept of leftovers. I get it, it can get tiring. However, there's definitely ways to incorporate some elements of meal prepping into your schedule. And one of the easiest ways I think is just by finding opportunities when you are cooking to make a little bit more for a future you. It's like tomorrow, I'm gonna feel really great that like a component to dinner or lunch, if I choose it to be lunch, is already done. I think honestly one of my favorite ways of meal prepping lately though has just been freezing meals. So the other week I made a vegetarian lasagna and portioned it out into, I think I got like 7 or 8 servings. So once a week I've been able to like say, oh, I don't need to take care of dinner because it's gonna be vegetable lasagna. And I'm not getting sick of it because I'm not having it like days in a row, which has happened in the past where I make lasagna and then it's like, oh man, I'm really committing to lasagna. So I definitely want to do more freezing with my meal prepping in 2024, because then you can take advantage of the days when you actually feel like cooking. Because when I'm in a cooking mood, I'm in a cooking mood and I might as well just like knock some things out. But there are a lot of days where I'm like, oh, I'm just caught up with life and this feels like a nuisance. This definitely would have been better with onion. I'm kind of bitter about that. Thankfully I do have some feta cheese that I think will take this to another level. Oh, these bowls are matching. Look at that. Mama bear, baby bear. Olive oil, some balsamic. I'm not adding salt because we've got feta going, but pepper for sure. Dijon mustard saves every dressing. Delicious. Tomorrow, this is honestly probably gonna taste a lot better than it is even today. Fantastic. Impeccable work, Caitlin. I like that it's got some crisp on it, but it's still bouncy. So it's not too dry. You have to pick a plate or a bowl or a plate bowl that speaks to your soul. I mean, does that not look so good? I don't know about you, but I think that looks delish. Wow, cooking is fun. You may or may not have noticed I have some funky nails going on, but some of them did pop off. These are press-on nails, but the great thing about that is I can just glue them back on. The actual size of my nails are very short, so this kind of length takes some getting used to. I felt like this has been a really great way to see if it's worth me going to salon and ever doing this formally, like with proper extensions. Even though some of these have popped off, I've actually been very impressed with how long they are staying, and they are very easy to put back on, so it's not a huge cumbersome thing to do. But as someone who's very creative and always doing stuff with my hands, whether it's crocheting or doodling or Legoing or baking, like I'm just always really rough on my hands, so the extra length is definitely tricky. These are the nails from Glamnetic. I got them off of Amazon. I'll include a link down below because, like I said, even though some of them have popped off, I think that's somewhat attributed to the fact that I didn't prep my nails like they said I should. Like I really need to push back my cuticles and properly just like prep them for this sort of thing. When they are on, like they look, I think, pretty good. It's so wild how quickly my hand looks like an adult hand once I actually have proper nails on. Let me know in the comments below, do you get your nails done regularly? What do you get done when you do get them done? I never go because nail polish just doesn't feel like it lasts long on me, but then also my nails are so short that if I'm just getting a regular manicure, I always feel like I'm overpaying for what it is. I almost feel like I should get a child discount for the little amount of nail polish I have to use to do my nails, you know? Can I request that? Charge me like I am a 12-year-old. Ta-da! And there you go, just like that, in minutes, my nails are back.